Hey YouTube, what's up? My name is Jonathan. I'm one of the co-hosts of this podcast. I just wanted to preface this episode and say thank you for checking it out. I hope you guys enjoy it, and don't forget to subscribe, to like this video, and to share it with your friends. Also, check us out on Instagram at Talk Progression. Also, there's a link in the bio if you just want to listen to the audio version of this podcast. That's available as well. Also, just wanted to give you guys a heads up that the intro is static. We're still working on getting an animated version of that, but the rest of the podcast has video. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and thanks for checking us out. We'll see you around. Hello, I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Sam.
And this is Progression in Progress. Okay, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Progression in Progress. I gotta change up the intro. I say the same thing every time, dang it.
I mean, it just becomes routine, or now people will know us for that intro.
Maybe, but we gotta add on to it or something. Maybe. But so what is this episode? I don't even know what episode this is. Not sure when this is coming out, but we're here. We're sitting down. We're doing it. We're back on the grind. So welcome back to another episode. And today we're doing a short episode here, and Sam and I just wanted to have a little conversation between ourselves. We want to discuss taking risks, or rather, I guess what you'll find out later in the episode, that it's not really about the taking risks, but you'll see. I don't want to spoil it. Got to have a little bit of suspense, right? But you'll see kind of what this conversation shifts to being. So let me give you the backstory, why I've been thinking about this this last few weeks. Okay, so one, I've been thinking about different career paths. Sorry to bring that up again. You guys are probably tired of it. I'm tired of it, but sorry. Bringing it up once again. I've been thinking about different career paths, and within those career paths, some of them involve different levels of risk, right? Different, I guess, maybe not risk, but rather lack of surety, which I guess is kind of risk, right?
Yeah.
One thing that's interesting we learned in finance, this is kind of a random tangent, but one thing we learned in finance, right? Risk is a big subject in finance. One thing we learned about risk is that risk could either be really good or really bad. You know, it doesn't mean just because there's risk doesn't mean that it has to be bad, which is an interesting thing. So maybe we can work that into the episode. Because now that I think about that, now that I'm saying that, it makes a lot of sense.
Sure. Risk
is not just bad. Risk is rather just the ability to deviate from the expected course, right? The expected, right? So little tangent, I think we can work that in. I think it'll make sense. But so that's one thing. One reason I've been thinking about risk. Two, okay, I just thought of this, but COVID, right? We've all been learning. I feel like I don't want to get too into risks and COVID and all that and this and that, right? But I guess I'll just keep it personal and not push anything on anyone, right? But I've been thinking about what level of risk do I want to take with COVID, right? So that's been something I've been thinking about. So that probably played a factor. Another thing, the third thing, and this was probably the biggest thing that kind of like hit me, right? Like I've been having these other thoughts, and then it kind of made it come to the front of my brain, right? If I have a front of a brain with my giant forehead, I must have a front of a brain. But it came to the front of my giant forehead, right? And I watched this video in my econ class, and it was just like a random video, and it was talking about this dude who, I think it was my econ class. It was either my econ or my finance class. I'm pretty sure it was my econ class. It was a video my teacher showed during my econ class, right? And it was this dude who has figured out a way to clean up all the plastic in the ocean and somehow make a little bit of money from it, right? Because people want to clean up the ocean. But the big problem is, if we're being real, the big problem is that it's not a profitable endeavor. But this guy has somehow figured out a way to make it efficient and profitable, or at least enough that he's willing to try to pursue it, right? But then I just was sitting there. This is so random. I was just sitting there. Watching it, sitting in this nice comfy chair. And I was like, dang, how is this guy just like out here on the ocean? And he's like, oh, dude, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to freaking clean up the plastic, bro. I'm going to like, how do you get from living your normal life to being out on the ocean enough, in areas enough where you can see this, where you're like, oh shoot, this is a problem. And this is what I'm going to do this. I'm going to send it, right? This thing that is really tough, I'm going to send it, right? So does that make sense? Like, it's not necessarily that the thing that he decided to do, but I kind of just sat there to myself and I was thinking, like, how did this guy get here? You know, what kind of life was he living to get here? And then what kind of life was he living to be able to take that step and go for it? And I felt like there's a lot of risk involved there I don't know. Does that make sense at all, Sam? What I'm saying? I'm rambling here.
No, definitely. Like I mean, I don't know if you know his story or whatever it was, but yeah, to go from, maybe a steady, stable life to all of a sudden one day being like, okay, I'm going to tackle this problem head on and figure out a way to do it. And I guess he did figure out a way to do it, and just kind of jump all in. Like, that's a pretty drastic change depending on where he was in his life.
Yeah, it's pretty ballsy. I'll say it's pretty ballsy. It was it, and then I guess to kind of put a capstone on it, just to highlight this, a quick example to highlight this, I was hanging out with a friend right this week, and she was talking about, she was visiting, and because school's online for her right now, and she was visiting, she's like, if school doesn't go back in the winter, I might move to Italy. I was like, what? Wow. Move to Italy? Like, you're just going to go to Italy? Right now. And she was like, yeah, I'm just going to go to Italy. My parents are down. I'm down. I'm going to go with my roommate. We're going to go to Italy. I was like, what the heck? Like, that's like, for me, like, I don't think that's honestly that crazy, right? In the grand scheme of things, of all the crazy things you could do, it's not that crazy. But I think this hit, like, for me, this is like such a thing that I want to talk about, because I feel like I'm the opposite of that. I'd be like going to, like, you could even hear in the way that I said it, right? Like, Italy, like what? Like you're going to leave and you're going to go to Italy, right?
Right.
Like for 3 months. And it's not because I think that's actually crazy, but it's something that I feel like I would never do myself.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess classic me just talking way too much. Right. And that brings us all the way back to me wanting to talk about risks. Right. Mm-hmm. And taking risks. It's not like, I guess it's not really necessarily a huge risk to just like go live in Italy for 3 months. Right. But rather it's a deviation from the normal. I guess that almost connects to the finance thing we were talking about, right? That it's a deviation from the normal path, right? So I guess that's included in our conversation of risk.
Yeah. Like for you, like when you first hear that, like, do you initially just think like, oh, is it more of a I wouldn't do that, or I couldn't do that?
It's a little bit of both. Like, it's a little bit of both. I mean, I probably have some other factors that I think about when doing crazy stuff like that, right?
Sure.
Like my health and stuff like that. But it's not, for me, like I said, it wasn't like, oh, that is crazy, but rather, like you said, it's not something I would do, right? So I guess to me that makes it crazy, even though I know it's not crazy. Right, it's not crazy. Out of all the, like I said, all the crazy things you could do, right? It's probably crazier to move to Miami than it is to move to Italy, right?
Possibly.
But I guess I'm just scared of deviating from the standard path.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think that's probably a pretty common feeling nowadays. There's a pretty, I feel like, cut and dry path that's kind of put out from, it's kind of when you start off in life. And I feel like a lot of people are just kind of scared to go outside of that or explore, other options that are out there. Yeah, I mean, like, I can't even say that, I have any insight to that maybe, but I just feel like it's very much like, I feel like the natural plan of life is school, job, maybe getting married, have a family, retire, and then that's it.
Sure.
So,
yeah. No, yeah. So if you guys were hoping to get some advice on how to take risks, this is the wrong place.
Yeah.
This is definitely a discussion on figuring out how we can take risks. Cause I feel like, Sam, I don't know.
Risk.
Yeah. I think that's a part that I want to talk about for sure. But I can see now that you say that, right? You got the set path, the standard path, right? And I feel, and there's a reason, I think there's a reason that's a standard path. There's a reason that's a standard path, but it's not the only path, right? There's a good reason. There's a good reason why that's a standard path, but it's not the only path. And I guess I need to take my own freaking advice, dude. I need to take my own advice. Okay. Well, I'm not saying that I need to take my own advice in this sense, but just the general principle of the advice I've given other people, I should probably take more personally. A lot of people will talk to me. I've said this to you a lot, Sam. Other people, it's like, okay, as long as you have a plan, I think it's okay, right? Like, Sam, like a long time ago when you were talking about like, when you decided about, your future with schooling and that, that you were going to go a different route, I was kind of like, okay, I think I personally, I got my beef with school, but I think school is pretty dang decent. It's pretty good. Right. But then I was like, okay, but Sam, if that's not your thing, if that's not your vibe, as long as you got a plan, I think it's fine. Right. So I guess maybe that's the answer. But the thing is though, okay, sorry, I'm talking a lot, right? But this is what I think another thing that I've realized too lately is that maybe this isn't the answer. Maybe having a plan isn't the answer, even though it might be the answer. I think I get too caught up in things being normal, right? Like it's got to be a plan. It's got to be this, like it's got to be all planned out. It's got to be all defined, right? Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, yeah, there's so much predictability in most things, I guess you could say. But yeah, you can't, there's so many things that you could do that you can't really predict. Like, you have an idea, or you can, work really hard to make sure that you can try to get that outcome for something that you want to do. But yeah, you never really know, and it's hard to plan. And I think, and maybe that's just, maybe we're just so like, we just like that consistency, maybe that's a word, just that surety that if we do this or that this will happen, that maybe, taking a risk just may not even seem worth it sometimes when it could potentially, be really positive.
Yeah. Well, okay. I remembered this. I think you're right. Risks can definitely, like I said, risks can definitely be positive. But okay, what I want, the direction I guess I wanted to take this, or just a comment that I had, and you get us back on track, Sam, if I kind of just derailed your whole thought here. But that same girl who told me that she was going to go to, she told me she was thinking of moving to Italy. A long time ago, she told me that I'm not spontaneous. And for some reason that stuck with me, that I'm not spontaneous, because, it probably stuck with me because it's true. Right. And I think maybe that's a part of this problem here for me, is that I'm not spontaneous. And like, I can totally feel it like in social situations too, where it's like some people just do spontaneous things. For me, that like stresses me out. I don't know why. Maybe I don't know if it's a bad thing. Maybe it is a bad thing. Maybe it isn't. But like spontaneity, just doing things like stresses me out, because then I start thinking about all the other things that I have to do and get done. And like, I want to get them done in a certain way and a certain time schedule. And I guess that might be, in some instances, when it comes to discipline, I think that's probably a good thing. But when it comes to having different opportunities, that might be a bad thing. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think maybe it's like a multi-part thing, like kind of like with, it's both I think we kind of look at it, multiple ways. Like maybe one way is if I do this, I think there's a lot of like external or like social pressure maybe to maybe not do something or to do something. And so we probably think about a lot of, okay, what are people going to think if I do that, or, or don't do that, or whatever it is. And then also just like just kind of like a self feeling as well, maybe like an internal feeling of, maybe I guess it depends what it is, of like feeling secure, or wanting to just wanting to pursue something that isn't so maybe predictable.
Sure.
I don't know.
Well, yeah. Well, I guess just to wrap this up in the last few minutes, this has been good, kind of expressing my thoughts, expressing what I'm thinking, getting it out there, that I'm kind of am a big wimp, and that I'm not spontaneous, and that, having a plan is, I think, really powerful, but maybe that's part of the problem at the same time. So I don't know. I would like to put a nice, wrap this up, tie it into progression and progress, right? Wrap it up, tie it into a progression and progress theme or mindset or something. But I'm having a tough time seeing where we can go from this. And I think that's a good thing. not necessarily, well, I'm not sure if it's a good thing, but I know it's not a bad thing, because the thing what we're trying to do here with this podcast, right, is we're not trying to preach and tell people exactly how it should be, right? That's not, it's literally built into the name, progression and progress. This is, a constant thing, right? We're constantly progressing here. So I don't know how to wrap this up. Do you have any ideas, Sam? Do you have any like takeaways? What are you thinking?
I was kind of thinking maybe like, I mean, I don't know if this is like something really to advocate for, I guess, but maybe like instead of maybe we can try to like, work on maybe just being a little more spontaneous or something, just see how it makes us feel, or how it like kind of changes our lives.
Sure.
Or, for the better or for the worse, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Like, just doing something small or something that you wouldn't normally do, and maybe try to put it more in a positive way. Like maybe you just do something nice for someone, that, or say something that you maybe wouldn't have just said out of the blue or something, see how that helps people.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we're kind of trying to probably talking more big life choices and things of that nature.
Sure.
But I think those, I kind of feel like people probably, if someone is a spontaneous person, I kind of don't feel like, I mean, maybe they were, but maybe they kind of like built up to be that way. So they kind of started doing little things, and then, they grew into being that person that is that way, or takes more risks, things of that nature.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe it's a learned skill. And I don't know if it's a skill or not. I don't know if you necessarily want to be a risk taker all the time.
Yeah, I guess back to what you said earlier, calculated risks. Because I think you can definitely go too far in taking risks, right?
Sure.
That's why teenagers and young male adults die, right? Because they take stupid risks. Like, we're not talking about not wearing your seatbelt type of risks, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's just stupid, right? But but I guess one question that I kind of wrote down in my notes is like, well, I guess I already know the answer to this question, but you kind of have to do great things. You have to take risks.
Yep.
You have to take risks. So I guess I'm glad we're having this conversation, because it's going to get me to think more. It's going to get me to think more and kind of work this out. At some point, because, there's a lot of areas in life that being a wimp when it comes to taking risks helps, right?
Sure.
It's not like I don't take any risks. Okay. It's not like I don't take any risks, but there's certain things that I feel like I'm more risk adverse, right?
Right.
Like, yeah. So it's not that I take zero risks and I live in my room and bubble wrap, right? It's not like that,
Right.
But it's more like, okay, do I full send it with this project, or do I full send it with this idea, or do I, or do I full send it in this social situation type of thing, right?
Right.
Not, locking yourself in a room type of risk aversion.
Yeah.
But I guess I guess just one thing that I want to say to myself, really, is, the best time to take risks is when you're young. I've heard that, and it makes so much sense, because, right now, the amount of responsibility I have may seem like a lot in the moment to me right now, but in 10 years, I'm definitely going to have more responsibility.
Oh yeah.
Definitely have more responsibility. And it's very likely that I will be responsible for other people as well. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I guess just a message to myself: now is the best time to take risks. Maybe dip your toes in the water. Always buckle up, though. That's not the type of risks we're talking about. But
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe I could full send it a little harder with some projects, or full send it with some ideas. I don't know. I guess that's, I'm saying it. I'm not really saying it as a message, to all the people listening. Rather, I'm just saying it to myself, and hopefully someone can relate to it. But I don't know. What's your takeaway from this, Sam?
Yeah, definitely. I think we just need to, at least for me, just kind of think more about things that I've wanted to do, or things I've thought about doing, and, kind of weigh the options, and like, if there's something that seems worthwhile, and it, is calculated, not just completely.
Yeah.
At least for me, I know some people just full send things that they think about, and it works out great, but at least I feel like for us, we're a little bit more reserved in that sense. So
yeah,
just find out something we want to do, and maybe try to do that.
No, that's so perfect. You're right. I think, right. if you, going back to what Adam said a few episodes ago, if you've been thinking about it a long time, just do it,
Yeah.
I
Now's
guess
the time, like you were saying.
Yeah, now's the
While we're
time.
young.
Yeah, what I'm saying, I guess now's the time. So I guess, I don't know. Sam and I really are talking on a podcast, but we're really just talking to each other. I feel like
Yeah.
we're just really
rambling.
figuring out our own crap over here.
Right. Yeah.
We're just figuring out our own crap and we're working through our own, reservations, I guess. But that makes sense to me. I just need to stop being a little wimp, I guess. And I have ideas, I've got ideas, and I guess I just got to full send it a little more. So I don't know.
Yeah, we're just having conversation, putting our thoughts out there. I feel like each of these discussions, like even if sometimes, we don't have like a huge takeaway at the very end of it, it just plants those seeds for thought that will eventually lead to some good progression, I feel like.
So true. All right. Well, I guess I could keep trying to tie it into a little bow. Sam, I suck at tying bows. I can tie my shoes, but bows, I cannot. I don't know why. I think, dude, I feel so stupid because I literally have to ask people to help me to tie a bow, right? I can tie my shoes. Okay. I can tie my shoes. Don't worry. But like tying a bow, I don't know why, so I'm not going to try to tie a bow, right, and wrap it in a nice little present. I think we're just going to end the episode. Thank you so much for listening to Progression to Progress. Check us out on YouTube. I've got some YouTube content planned, so check us out there. Follow us on Talk Progression at Talk Progression. Wait, I just said that. Yeah, so follow us at Talk Progression on our Instagram, Twitter too. Share it with friends. What else? We don't got a Facebook.
No, just be sure to subscribe to the podcast. I don't know if you said that.
Yeah, subscribe to the podcast.
Subscribe to the podcast and leave us a good rating. And I think that about covers it.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Progression in Progress. Every Monday, new episode. Yeah, you guys are the best. Thank you so much. We've been getting a lot of support. We really appreciate it. Okay. Stickers. Stickers. I might put a little thing at the beginning about stickers, but we have 3 different designs of stickers. We got the logo, we got my listen to this, and then we got my head, right? I showed them on camera for everyone who's watching the video version, but for the audio version, we got 3 different designs of stickers. You can see them on Instagram. Just send me a DM if you want one. We'll ship them to you for free.
Yep.
That's it. Yep. All right. Thank you so much for listening.
Have a good one.
Peace out.